Good afternoon. Well, we could not have had a better day or better weather for this. It's absolutely amazing. And as you guys can see, you know why we chose this site for this meeting. We chose it because you couldn't get a better view of Manresa Island. So welcome everybody to the celebration of Manresa Island, brand new name, Manresa Wilds. You officially are the first to have the swag, the merch, you have it all. Very exciting day for all of us to be able to hand that out. And the team has worked so hard to be able to get there, but not without your help. You've been there along the way the whole time. Wanted to be able to kick off this presentation, let you know that we are going to talk about not only the feedback from the meetings that we had over the last number of months, but also talk about Manresa Wilds and how it came about and how you inspired that brand. We've been doing a few things today, and we're going to continue that for the next hour or so. One of those is to be able to talk with you about the master plan vision for Manresa Island, and also things that you can do there, things that we are envisioning that you'll be able to do there at the park. And the other thing we're going to do is talk about Manresa Wilds. We're so excited that you get to know the new name of the park. We're so excited that you inspired the name of the new park, and you'll hear all about that inspiration and how we came up with that branding as part of this presentation. So Manresa Island, you all know it. It's a landmark here in the city of Norwalk. You've seen it. We've heard so many personal stories about it. 125 acre site, again, just across the Norwalk Harbor, up to 2 miles of coastline. And we're transforming it. We're transforming it from a decommissioned power plant that closed in 2013 into a publicly accessible park. And the publicly accessible park will be available for everyone to use. The reason why we're doing this is to be able to connect the public to the waterfront, be able to do that through recreation, active programming, and education programs. And it's important because when we look at a map, we can see just how scarce it is to be able to access land that's connected to the water in a meaningful way. And we're going to do that in a number of different ways. And today is part of that exercise. Today is collecting your feedback, collecting comments, understanding what you want to see for the park. But the idea, again, is to really connect the public to the waterfront through all of these active ways. There's also passive uses, too. You can see here, there's a salt marsh. There's the ability to experience the wildlife on the site. Again, it's 125 acres. There are many different ecosystems. To do that, we're using these 5 guiding values, and they're extremely important. It's a place like no other, so unique. And it's a place for all. Everyone is welcome. We're using future forward thinking in order to be able to think about how to collect information and how to use the site as a living laboratory, which means it'll be a hub for discovery and learning. And last but not least, it is 125 acres, but as you know, it started as 23 acres, and it grew to 125 in the 60s when the coal ash was laid on the site, which made it an island into a peninsula. And being able to restore that ecology is a big piece of this project. But we can't do it without being a good partner. And being a good partner means that we're hosting this 3rd community engagement meeting to hear what you have to say about the project. This is a meeting where we're showing you the vision of what the park is, but we're not done collecting feedback, and we're not done collecting information about what you'd like to see here. And so in being able to do that, we want to be a good neighbor. We want to think about programming, the way in which the site is built out, the way in which you access the site and use the site. And so these are things we're thinking about at each turn. We have our team here, Manresa Island Corp. This is our internal team. We have Allison and Austin McCord here, who are amazing philanthropic funders of this transformation, and they'll be speaking to you as well today. And they created this nonprofit in order to be able to restore the site and build out the park. And our team has been working very, very closely with a larger team, the actual design and project team. Scape is our landscape architect, Big is our architect, they're here. E-Design, Tie and Bond, AKRF, everyone is here in the master plan vision section. So if you want to learn about different elements of the park and the way in which they're all coming together through this vision, we have experts here in order for you to talk with them. But we're not done, as I mentioned. It's going to be a long road. We've just removed the oil tanks. I'm sure everyone's noticed the 7 million gallon oil tanks are gone from the site. But there's a long road ahead. We need to think about how to build a vision, how to remediate the site, and how to build out the park. And so this slide just here shows you that we're doing our due diligence, we're talking to you, we want to hear more. We're actually going to be coming back to the community before the end of the calendar year. And we wanted to show you that your feedback is part of a process, and this process has been in place for a number of different months, and we're so appreciative of your efforts. Want to say a quick thank you to all of the vendors and all of the folks that helped us coordinate today. There are food trucks in the back corner. If anybody would like to grab grilled cheese, I just had chicken quesadilla. It was amazing. And also, we have some yoga that's going to go on here around probably 3:40-ish. Russell and our folks here with the vendors are going to be hosting. So if you'd like to do that after the presentation, please do. I have Gina Worth here. Gina's going to talk all about feedback that we saw from Community 2 and talk about a day in the life at the park. Gina's a partner with Scape Landscape Architect, and she's amazing. I can't wait for you to hear from her.
Thank you, Jess. And thanks to so many local residents and people from the region showing up today. It's really heartening just to see what passion there is for transforming the site over time. So I'm going to kick off today by talking a little bit about our engagement process. Today is an engagement event, so I hope that all of you here have shared your thoughts and your ideas about the vision and your feedback to the vision with the team. We have a whole engagement and visioning station here over to my right, so definitely encourage you to go online, take the survey if you haven't voiced that already, and talk with the team here about seeing this work and shaping this work. We're really excited to continue evolving this plan along with all of you. Just to recap, we've had a couple of different engagement events so far for this project, large public meetings. In March, we had an early vision, history, and ecology engagement event where we shared the broader vision and heard feedback from the community. In May, we had a more specific meeting that was about activating the landscape and the building program, really understanding what might be happening outdoors and indoors, and it was great to get feedback from that scale of event. And then today is also an engagement event. But engagement is not ending. This work is continuing. What we've heard so far, this is a really high-level summary. We also have a table on the side that provides more details about our engagement process and what people have been telling us. The majority of the feedback we've been receiving has been very positive about opening up the park back to public use and reconnecting Norwalk with a more public waterfront experience. Within that, we've heard that people are very excited about nature-focused experiences, experiences that really amplify the existing ecology of the site, understanding that it requires remediation over time. And also, we've heard a lot of interest in water-based experiences, water-based recreation. The site has really diverse shorelines. Some are more natural. Some have been hardened due to the use of the power plant. Some have potential to be more beach-like or more wild. And so we've heard a lot of interest in unique shoreline experiences shaping the place. I think it's also important, though, to be very clear that we've heard negative feedback as well, and there's things that people are concerned about, and we've been working to tailor the design around these concerns, and we're going to continue working over time to keep addressing many of the concerns. So some of the top concerns that we've heard have been around traffic and parking, access and use of the site, the environmental and wildlife impact. While the site is contaminated, it's also a really important place for biodiversity, for ospreys, for other species. We've heard concerns about noise and crowds and intensity of use and light pollution, and these are all things we're taking into consideration as we continue to evolve the design and come back to this group by the end of the year with an updated vision. At our second meeting, we dove into more specific programming around the building and around the landscape, like what would people actually like to do here? What programs would you like to see or not like to see? We did an exercise with sticky dots where people could kind of rank or rate different activities based upon their preferences and their needs, maybe what their family enjoys or what they saw themselves doing on the site. Some of the most popular programs that we heard about, again, were some of those nature-based experiences and immersive waterfront experiences. Natural shorelines, planted buffers, spaces for outdoor education, incorporating local school groups onto the site. Places to enjoy water, whether it's a natural shoreline walk or a kayak launch or a relaxing beach or a public pool or interactive fountain. I think there's a myriad of ways that people can interact with water, and we're looking forward to bringing more of these to the site to kind of help encourage and build upon this feedback. There were also many different programs with varied reactions, some in support of and some against. And I think these are programs that our team is very carefully thinking about how to shape the design so that some of these could be accommodated. Maybe they happen on a more seasonal schedule, and maybe they happen in places where they're not going to cause disturbance to the wider community. So for example, entertainment and performance events and large gatherings or more active water-based experiences. I will call out that we got almost a 50-50 split around support and dislike of the smokestack, which is a prominent feature of the shoreline that we can see today. And because the feedback was so balanced and because the smokestack exists and is structurally sound and is also a kind of important part of the navigation and icon of the Norwalk shoreline, our team is recommending keeping the smokestack as part of the design and kind of using the embodied energy of that space and preserving that as the icon within the park. We also heard about different unpopular programs, and so I think these we're thinking about taking a step back from or thinking about them differently within the space, within the greater region. I think there was concern about an overly programmed beachfront or too many like night or evening events that would cause light pollution for local wildlife. Overly structured playscapes or overnight stays and hospitality are all things that our team is kind of reconsidering in different ways. And so, the engagement process is not over. I think it's really important to stress this. We will be continuing to update the vision, and we hope to return to the community before the end of the year to share more results and share an updated design. And we're also trying to reach out to other groups. So youth engagement is very important for this process. So we'll be doing youth engagement in schools within the fall of 2025 to make sure that future generations' voices are heard within this project. So make sure you grab the kind of current vision and the master plan on the way out. And we look forward to kind of sharing updates with you along the way. And just as a little bit of a teaser of the Manresa Island vision and experience, we have lots more detailed information at the vision table, so I, again, encourage you to go see those spaces. But Manresa Island is 125 acres of very diverse ecological and human experiences imagined. So just to talk about like how the design was structured at a very high level, we wanted to create a diverse and immersive waterfront to make sure that the different types of shorelines, the more urban or more hardened shorelines that exist today, the more naturalized shorelines that could exist in the future, and the marsh shorelines that exist could be preserved, really feed into that overall diversity of experience and design language. We also wanted to enhance Manresa's wild places to make sure to preserve what is already working on the site and what is already ecologically functional. And concentrate active programming at the core of the site, at the nose or the end of the site where the most disturbance and industrial activity has occurred. And so when all of this comes together into this like vision or kind of park design for this new place, how might you use this space? How might a family spend a day at Manresa Island Park? So this is a little walkthrough of one local family's potential itinerary for the day. We're really focused, again, we've heard these feedback points about traffic and the concern. We're focused on how might there be alternative modes of transportation to the site, shuttle buses, city buses, bicycle paths, or ferries coming from the local aquarium. No matter how you arrive to the site, the forest parking would be a great place to kind of congregate and start your day, whether you're locking up your bicycle or getting off the shuttle bus as a family. You might spend the morning at the playground, kind of enjoying the undulating topography, sitting in the shade, watching your child play, having an experience like going down a tall slide or having a riskier climb on one of the taller play structures. And then take a break, grab some lunch at the building cafe, and also kind of appreciate within some of the common spaces of the building the stories and the historic legacy of the power plant and how it has really shaped this region. After lunch, one might go rock climbing. For example, the kids might sign up for a rock climbing class in advance and use the climbing wall inside the building as a recreational space, while the parents might hit the brewery and get a beverage kind of on the roof area with a view overlooking Norwalk and the greater park. And then before heading home, maybe use the locker rooms downstairs, the public locker rooms, to change into your swimsuits and take a dip in the ocean at the beach before you head out. So that's one potential experience. Another thought, and I think the environmental education piece is so important for this project. We wanted to think a bit about how a local school group might spend a day at Manresa Island Park. The first kind of starts in the same area, the forest parking and drop-off, or maybe a local school bus or a local ferry comes from the Norwalk Aquarium, bringing students to the site in the scale of a classroom. They might spend the day at the Ecology Hub, this kind of smaller scale, like pop-up educational space that helps interpret the diverse ecosystems of Manresa, learning about the ecology of the site. And then have more immersive learning in the cedar swamp, which is a restored, vulnerable ecosystem that's being brought back to the site and slowly restored over time. So children could learn about that process of growth and change and restoration. There's a large walking path, biking loop that wraps the site, that's in the site design, and you could walk along that. The school group could walk along that and have a picnic lunch by the shore, kind of sitting in the shade overlooking the water. And then before hopping back on the bus or back on the ferry, they could stop at the nature playground and do some interactive exercises and kind of hands-on kind of play experiences to kind of burn off some steam before the end of the day. So these are just two tiny snippets of possible experiences, and I think the whole goal of this project is to make sure there's something here for everyone. Again, there's more information at the tables, and I really encourage you to kind of come check out this work, provide feedback on this work, and the diversity of activities that we're proposing. And we hope to continue to hear more from you and really appreciate you coming out today. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Austin and Allison to talk about the identity of the park.
Thank you so much. Got it. Thank you, everybody. I think it's important for us to provide a little bit of the backdrop when we think about the brand for Manresa moving forward. And for us, for Allison and I, it was so important going into this knowing that the park is never going to become the Allison and Austin Park, and that instead the site is so much bigger than us, and that whatever we end up calling it, it needed to reflect that.
We've learned so much about the park over the past 2 years. We've mapped the building, we've counted all of the animals on site, we've been creating a historical archive of artifacts and documents. We've also heard stories from many of you about your experiences on site, your connections to the power plant, and your perceptions of Manresa.
And I think that throughout community engagement, one thing has been clear. Even though when you look at the site, technically it's known as Kaiser Point, and if you were to name the building, it's actually known as the Norwalk Harbor Generating Station. To everyone in the region, the site is known as Manresa.
In order to develop the brand and define what Manresa will mean for the next phase of its life, we reached out to the amazing team at Reach Creative. And now Josh and Joe from Reach are going to talk about the journey they followed to redefine what Manresa will mean for the future.
Hi, everyone. I'm Josh with Reach Creative, the design team behind the brand and the web work. Over the past few months, we've had the pleasure of working alongside an incredibly talented group of designers, copywriters, illustrators to help shape the new brand for Manresa Island. Today, we'll give you a quick overview of that brand and share some of the thinking that helped guide its development. For generations, Manresa Island has been off limits. The project will reconnect us to the shores of Manresa. For the first time in nearly 75 years, the park will be a place where everyone can come to explore and engage with nature. That's why community engagement has been such an important part of our planning and design process. We asked you for your personal stories about the island and what it means to you. The name Manresa sparked something in almost every conversation we had. It carries a touchstone we all share and a rich history. The park's new brand identity will honor that legacy by keeping the Manresa name, but while the name stays, its meaning will evolve. We need a name that sparks curiosity, invites people in, a name that signals a new destination to the shores of Norwalk. It should reflect the site's transformation from a power plant to a vibrant, welcoming space, from our industrial past to our sustainable future. The idea of a new wilderness really spoke to us. It evokes a sense of mystery, a wild, natural spirit that draws people in. This park will reconnect us to nature and to each other. It brings back something we've lost, the exhilaration and liberation of being in the wild. Swim where you want, explore where you want, and relax where you want. This place calls for a name that captures that untamed spirit. And this image of the diving osprey captured that perfectly. And it was the inspiration for the design team to start exploring.
Cool, thanks Josh. Hi guys, I'm Joe. I'm here representing the design half of the equation. So as Josh and Allison and Austin all mentioned, Manresa is a name that carries with it a lot of amazing stories. And as you've probably gathered by now, the new name, here's the big reveal, will be Manresa Wilds. Spoiler, it's everywhere, there we go. So the logo was inspired by that image of the diving osprey that we just looked at. It's a visual that has come to embody the wild and resilient nature of the island. And it's become for us the cornerstone of a visual identity rooted in something wild. You know, it's free-spirited, elemental, and it's all inspired by the plants and animals that inhabit the island today. So throughout everything we're creating, and you've seen a lot of it around here today so far, rough-hewn edges, organic, handmade textures are all grounding this new visual identity in nature. So for example, you've probably seen the plant and animal illustrations all over everything. They look a bit like ancient cave paintings. We've affectionately nicknamed those glyphs, and they were all made by hand by our amazing designer Blake, who's not here today. But the logo was hand carved by Jillian, and Jillian's here today in the back. The glyphs are, just so much fun to play with. They're like this little alphabet or language that you can create new scenes with, and it's our intention that they become like a shared secret language that we can all write our own new stories for this park with. The park is going to be a place where everybody can learn, play, and wonder as they trek through the new trails and access all this new shoreline. And we see Manresa as an invitation to nature, to make it a totally enriching and cherished part of our lives. So I just want to say we've all had so much fun working on this new visual system, this logo, this brand, and we hope it helps create a space where the explorer and all of us can dive into the wild. So thank you. We can't wait to do more on this, and we're looking forward to it. I'm going to hand it back over to Austin and Allison for some closing remarks.
Hello again. We just want to thank you all for coming out. Your involvement today and in our previous engagement events really shows the community's interest and passion for this project. We have a ton of members of the team here. If you haven't gotten a chance to speak with them yet, they'd love to talk to you and hear your questions. One of the best ways to share your thoughts and opinions with us is to complete our survey. There's a table sort of behind this tent here where you can fill out a physical survey. You can also scan this QR code and fill out the online survey. We want to hear all of your thoughts. You can also head over to our master plan zone. There are sticky notes that you can fill out with your thoughts and put on the different parts of the project. Again, there are team members there who would love to talk to you about anything you have to say. Thank you to all of the vendors who are here. If you haven't hit up the food trucks in the back on the basketball court, they'd love to see you. And thank you for coming out.
Thank you. Yeah, the gelato is really good. I'm sure everything else is really good, but I had the gelato and it was awesome. Next steps for us are as follows. First, we're continuing our sort of engagement in making sure that we're spending time with the Board of Education. We want to make sure that what we build is well connected with Norwalk Schools, as well as the Carver Foundation. And then we're taking in all of this feedback and we're adapting what you're seeing here to match that feedback. And that we're really excited to show you at the end of this year. We should be able to put together and share a presentation showing exactly what we think Manresa really means, what Manresa Wilds is, when you incorporate this design plus all of your feedback. And that's why it's so important that you make your voices heard. But yeah, we'd also like to thank all of our community partners that have come out. So we've got Wesleyan here, we have Sacred Heart here, we have the Maritime Aquarium here. We've also been doing a ton of work with Woods Hole up in Woods Hole, Massachusetts, and they're a big partner of ours, as well as all the other community organizations that have great tables out here. And so that's all awesome. But I think most importantly, like, Allison and I have been so energized by seeing everyone show up and be excited about this project. And going into this, we thought we might be the only people that care, and it turns out like all of Norwalk cares and cares so much. And that gives us the energy to move forward and to make this happen. And with that, it's just a huge thank you. And we're excited to share more later this year. So thank you again.